Your services are no longer required. You are not the right fit for our household.
Not the right fit? After 6 months, that's what she decides?
He's brilliant, I'll give him that. But he simply doesn't fit the aesthetic, Monica.
Absolutely. You don't want people getting the wrong impression.
The decision was sealed over a second glass of Pinot Grigio under a chandelier that cost more than Joshua's rent for a year.
I'll handle it. A quick text and we can move on to someone more suitable.
Minutes later, Joshua's phone vibrated in his modest apartment across town.
Mom's treatment. That was my best client. What am I going to do?
He thought of Daniel, the boy who lit up at every equation, and the silence that would follow. The mansion's marble floors wouldn't feel the tremor, but for Joshua, the ground had just shifted. 6 months earlier, Joshua's life had a very different center of gravity.
Mom is stable today. I made the right choice, leaving MIT behind.
The tutoring job at the Reeves mansion was supposed to be a stopgap until he met Daniel.
Wait, is that really an elliptic curve? I've been reading about them all week.
Daniel, this is graduate-level work. How long have you been self-studying?
He's effective, but he doesn't look like he belongs in this house.
Back in the present, the text still glowed on his phone, a quiet demolition.
Every session, every breakthrough, erased because of how I look.
He had walked away from a PhD to keep his mother alive. Now, the one thing that still felt like purpose was gone. And across town, Daniel didn't yet know that his favorite sound, Joshua's soft voice explaining impossible math, had been silenced. The next afternoon, Daniel sat in his usual spot by the window, waiting for the familiar knock. It never came.
Daniel, this is Stephen Caldwell. He'll be taking over your math preparation from now on.
What happened to Mr. Harris?
Mr. Harris wasn't the right fit for our family. Stephen comes highly recommended from Yale.
I am sure we'll do great things together. Let's start with a diagnostic.
She fired him. She actually fired him because he didn't fit.
In his room that night, Daniel typed out a message. Mr. Harris, it's Daniel. But the text never sent. The number had been deactivated from his phone.
She erased his number, like he was never here.
The quadratic equation is a fundamental building block. Let's see how you handle this.
Daniel stared at the worksheet, but the numbers blurred. All he could see was Joshua's empty chair. 2 weeks with Stephen felt like 2 months. Daniel's hunger for deep math met only polished basics.
You are overcomplicating this. Just memorize the formula and move on.
Joshua would have asked me why it works, not just asked me to repeat it.
His first test under the new tutor came back with a sharp red C+. Daniel hadn't seen a C since middle school.
This is what happens when you fill his head with impractical nonsense. That tutor undid months of proper preparation.
She's rewriting history. Joshua made me love math. Stephen is making me hate it.
Later that evening, passing by his mother's office, Daniel heard her voice on the phone, a glass of wine in hand.
No, Monica. The boy is confused. Joshua's influence was worse than I thought. It'll take months to fix.
Fix me? She shattered the one thing that worked. There's no coming back from this.
That night, he didn't even open his laptop. The numbers had lost their music. 3 weeks crawled by. Daniel moved through school in a fog. The C+ paper crumpled at the bottom of his bag. One night, searching for an old assignment, he knocked over a binder from 6 months ago. A sheet of paper fluttered out. Across town, in a dim apartment stacked with math books, a phone sat untouched on a cluttered desk.
His number. He never changed it. I could just type it in. She'd be furious. But she already erased him. What more can she take?
At 11:47 p.m., with the house silent, Daniel typed a message into a phone that suddenly felt heavier. Mr. Harris, it's Daniel. I miss our sessions.
Sent. Now I wait. Please don't let her find out.
Moments later, the phone on Joshua's cluttered desk lit up with a single notification. Joshua Harris glanced at the screen, and the name he never expected to see again froze him in place. In the dim glow of his mother's sick room, Joshua stared at the message for a full minute.
If Karen finds out, I'll never teach again. But Daniel reached out. That took courage.
We'll find a way. 9 p.m. Delete this after.
He replied. Oh my God, he actually replied.
That night, at exactly 9 o'clock, Joshua's calm voice came through Daniel's earbuds. Not a call, but a voice memo.
Daniel, first rule, turn off all notifications. Second, we'll use a shared whiteboard app. Everything gets deleted by morning, understood?
Across the silent miles, a shared digital whiteboard lit up, 2 cursors moving, an elliptic curve beginning to take shape.
This is real. We're actually doing this, right under her nose.
For the next hour, Joshua guided him through a problem that was years beyond Daniel's grade, and the boy's mind lit up like dry kindling. When Daniel finally closed his laptop at 11, he did something he hadn't done in weeks. He smiled up at the dark ceiling. The nightly ritual continued. Voice memos replaced silence, and the digital whiteboard bloomed with curves and proofs. In their next tutoring session, Daniel placed a perfect test paper on the table.
This is an Olympiad level problem. How did you even approach this?
From a man you'll never meet. A man my mother threw away.
Stephen pulled out his phone, searching for solutions. The silence in the room grew thick.
Daniel, that elliptic curve proof you sent it was elegant. You are thinking like a mathematician now.
Daniel replayed the memo 3 times that night, each word a small defiance. Stephen canceled the next session, claiming a scheduling conflict. At home, he stared at a blank legal pad. He couldn't admit that he was out of his depth, not to Karen, and not to himself. The secret fueled Daniel's ascent, but the cracks in Stephen's facade were beginning to show. At a downtown restaurant, Karen Reeves clinked her glass against Monica's and smiled like a woman holding a winning lottery ticket.
I told you, Monica. You pay for quality and you get results. Stephen is worth every penny.
Absolutely. I always said an Ivy League pedigree makes all the difference.
That evening at dinner, Karen recounted the conversation to Daniel, her version of events already solidified.
The school called today. Your math teacher said you are suddenly performing at a level he's never seen. I knew Stephen would turn things around.
Stephen would still be on quadratic equations if it were up to him. You have no idea.
Across town, Stephen Caldwell sat alone in his apartment, the latest test paper in front of him. He hadn't earned this praise.
I am taking credit for something I don't even understand. What happens when he's asked a question I can't answer?
But in the Reeves mansion, the polished surfaces reflected only the story Karen wanted to see. The real work happened in the dark hours, between 2 people whose names would never appear together on a report card. Late one night, after a session on modular forms, Joshua's voice took on a different tone.
Daniel, you are ready. The USA Math Olympiad registration closes in a week. I think you should enter.
The Olympiad. That's national. If I enter, she might find out. But I could actually do it.
The next morning, he slipped the registration form into the box outside the math office before first period.
Done. No backing out now. This is for Joshua.
3 weeks later, a thick envelope from the USA Math Olympiad arrived at the school. Daniel opened it in his room, hands trembling.
Regional qualifier. I am in. Joshua needs to know.
That night, a single text lit up Joshua's phone. I qualified.
Daniel, that's incredible. You've earned this. Stay focused. We'll keep working. The hard part is just starting.
On the shared whiteboard that evening, the equations grew denser. The Olympiad was no longer a dream. It was a countdown. The call came to Karen's private office line on a Thursday afternoon, the caller ID reading the name of Daniel's school.
USA Math Olympiad? Daniel never mentioned he entered. Are you sure this is correct?
The principal's voice came through, calm and congratulatory. He had qualified for the national team.
He went behind my back. This is my house, my rules. How did he even prepare?
When Daniel walked through the grand foyer that evening, his mother was already waiting, arms crossed under the chandelier.
Daniel, the school called. You've been keeping things from me. Explain.
She knows about the Olympiad. Don't mention Joshua. Just admit the entry and nothing else. I entered the Olympiad on my own. I didn't think you'd let me, so I did it myself.
On your own? You are not at this level by accident. Stephen is good, but even he seems surprised by your recent work.
For the first time, Karen looked at her son not with pride, but with cold suspicion. And he met her gaze without flinching. Later that night, after Daniel had gone to his room, Karen climbed the stairs quietly and entered his bedroom. On the desk, his tablet lay unlocked. A single tap opened the whiteboard app, filled with curves she didn't recognize.
Daniel, the key is the modular discriminant. Once you see that, the rest is elegant.
Joshua. He's been coaching Daniel behind my back this whole time, and Stephen took the credit.
Her hand trembled as she swiped. The app vanished, then the voice memos, one by one, until the tablet was empty.
I found everything, Daniel. The app, his voice. You've been lying to me since the day I fired him.
He's the only reason I am going to the Olympiad. Without him, I'd still be doing Stephen's quadratic worksheets.
You are not going. I'll call the school and tell them how you really prepared.
And when they ask why I had to study in secret, what will you say? That you fired the best teacher I ever had because of his skin color.
Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The Olympiad was in 2 weeks, and she couldn't stop him now. The next afternoon, Stephen Caldwell arrived at the Reeves mansion unannounced, his bow tie slightly askew.
Mrs. Reeves, I can't do it anymore. The math, it's beyond me. I am resigning, effective immediately.
First the tutor, now this fraud. I am left with nothing but a boy who despises me.
Upstairs, Daniel sat at his desk, a blank notebook open. The equations he'd once loved now felt like a wall he couldn't climb alone.
I can't ask for help. She's watching every move, but without his voice. I am just guessing.
Across town, Joshua paced his small apartment, his phone untouched on the desk. He hadn't heard from Daniel in 2 days.
If I text him, she'll see. If I call, I could ruin everything. Please, Daniel, remember what I taught you.
At the Olympiad team training, Daniel sat among the brightest young minds in the country, but he felt invisible.
Everyone here has a private coach. I am alone with a deleted whiteboard and a head full of things I am scared to forget.
100 miles away, Joshua sat in the dark, staring at a silent phone, willing it to ring. At 11:47 that night, Daniel slipped into the hotel bathroom, locked the door, and turned on the faucet to muffle his voice.
I am going to call him. If I get caught, I am out. But I can't do this alone.
In his apartment across town, Joshua's phone finally lit up with a call, the name on the screen making his hand tremble.
Daniel, are you okay?
She deleted everything. The whiteboard, your memos. I am at training and I am panicking. I need something to hold on to.
There was a pause. Then Joshua's voice dropped to a calm, steady whisper, the same one Daniel had heard 100 times before.
Listen, Daniel. The elliptic curve problem always comes down to the modular discriminant. Remember what I said? It's the key that unlocks the structure. Trust that.
The discriminant, of course. It all clicks together. He's right. I've got this.
He ended the call and leaned against the stall, the weight lifting from his chest for the first time in days. Back in his hotel room, he opened his notebook and wrote the discriminant formula 10 times, each line a promise he intended to keep. The grand ballroom in Boston fell silent as 100 Olympians opened their final exam booklets. Daniel Reeves, 14, sat at the end of row 4, his pencil sharp, his breath shallow. He flipped to the last problem, elliptic curves, a proof that would separate gold from silver. The room hummed with calculators and quiet panic.
Discriminant. It's always the discriminant. Joshua said if I see one, I should start there.
He closed his eyes for 1 second. In the dark of his mind, he heard that calm, steady voice. Once you see it, the rest is elegant. His pencil touched the paper. He worked for 40 minutes without a pause, the proof unfolding like a map he'd memorized in secret. When the final bell rang, he set the pencil down and knew. He didn't need the score sheet. 3 hours later, his name echoed through the hall. Daniel Reeves, USA Math Olympiad, gold medal. In the 4th row of the audience, Karen Reeves rose to her feet, hands pressed together, tears streaming. She looked at the stage and saw only her own reflection.
Every sacrifice was worth it. Stephen pulled him through. This is my victory.
After the ceremony, a New York Times photographer posed her and Daniel in front of an American flag. Karen beamed. Daniel's jaw was tight, a single note card hidden in his blazer pocket. As the photographer lowered his camera, Karen adjusted her pearl necklace and leaned toward him with a conspiratorial smile.
Make sure you get my good side. This will look perfect in the society section.
20 feet away, Daniel slipped into a quiet backstage corridor and pulled out the blank note card.
Mom thinks this is her moment, but she didn't teach me the discriminant. She didn't whisper that the curve would unlock everything.
In the auditorium, Karen returned to her seat, smoothing her skirt and glancing at the woman beside her.
We owe it all to Stephen Caldwell, Yale graduate. He transformed Daniel in 3 months.
She's rewriting history again. Joshua isn't just a footnote. He's the reason I am standing here.
Over the loudspeaker, the Master of Ceremonies announced the gold medalists' acceptance speeches. 10 minutes, Daniel slid the note card into his blazer pocket, felt the weight of the gold medal against his chest, and walked toward the stage wing. As the lights dimmed and the audience applauded, his heart pounded not with fear, but with the weight of a truth finally about to be spoken. Daniel stepped to the microphone, the gold medal around his neck catching the stage lights. The room fell utterly silent.
I want to thank my mother, Karen Reeves, for always pushing me to succeed.
From the 4th row, Karen Reeves lowered her phone and smiled, already composing the Instagram post in her mind.
But the person who truly got me here is a man you've never heard of. His name is Mr. Joshua Harris.
The auditorium went still. A dozen camera lenses adjusted their focus toward the boy.
6 months ago, my mother fired him because, in her words, he didn't fit the aesthetic of our household.
In the 4th row, Karen's smile evaporated. Her hand gripped the armrest, knuckles white.
So, we studied in secret. Voice memos, a hidden whiteboard every night. Everything I know about elliptic curves came from that man.
Cameras swiveled from the boy to his mother. A collective murmur rolled through the ballroom like thunder before the rain, and in a dim apartment 100 miles away, Joshua Harris leaned toward his laptop screen, his hand slowly covering his mouth. Before the murmuring crowd could settle, the Master of Ceremonies stepped back to the microphone, his voice unsteady. And now, our keynote speaker, Fields medalist Dr. Marcus Ellis, will offer closing remarks.
I had planned a different talk, but after hearing this young man, I can't simply continue as if nothing happened. Daniel, what you did tonight took more courage than any proof I've ever seen. And to the man he mentioned, Joshua Harris, your student's clarity on elliptic curves is the work of a master teacher.
A wave of applause rolled through the ballroom, cameras capturing the raw emotion, a sudden verdict on an unseen man.
I don't make this offer lightly. Dr. Harris, if you are watching, Princeton University's math department has a place for you.
Karen's face went pale, her carefully arranged world crumbling under the spotlight she had once craved. The auditorium rose to its feet, applause thunderous, a verdict on 2 very different legacies. At his laptop, Joshua Harris's glasses fogged with tears. He had been erased months ago, but tonight, his name was spoken into history. The live stream ended, but Joshua's screen still glowed with the paused image of the standing ovation. He didn't move. His phone vibrated. The screen read Daniel Reeves. He answered on the first ring.
Mr. Harris, did you see? Dr. Ellis offered you a position, on stage, in front of everyone.
I saw, Daniel. I don't know what to say. This is everything I gave up.
He ended the call and walked to his mother's room. She was already awake, her eyes finding him in the dim light.
Mom, Princeton offered me a research position. I am going back.
She reached up, her hand shaking, and touched his face. She hadn't seen him this happy in years. He pulled Dr. Ellis's business card from his pocket and stared at the handwritten note. "Call me." Joshua took a breath, then dialed. The phone rang once before a warm voice answered.
Dr. Ellis, this is Joshua Harris. I accept. Thank you. I won't let you down.
Weeks later, alone in his room, Daniel clicked submit on MIT's early application portal. He told no one. The acceptance arrived on a Wednesday, a thick crimson envelope with MIT's seal. Daniel opened it alone.
Admitted. I am going where I want to go, not where she planned.
He made a photocopy of the letter, then wrote a note at the bottom in careful handwriting. He addressed the envelope to his mother and dropped it in the mail the next morning. No call preceded it. 2 days later, Karen found the envelope on her marble entryway table. Her name was written in her son's script, inside a copy of the MIT acceptance letter. At the bottom, Daniel's note, "I decline Harvard. MIT is my home now. One day, I hope you understand why."
Harvard was my dream for him. He chose MIT to hurt me, and I gave him the reason.
Her hand trembled. The paper slipped to the floor, settling beside a framed photo of her Harvard graduation. In the empty mansion, the only sound was a quiet, broken sob and the echo of a door her son had closed forever within 48 hours. The phrase "Tutor fired for aesthetic defeats odds" was trending on 3 platforms. The New York Times article had been shared 500,000 times. Karen Reeves found her inbox empty, her social circle suddenly unavailable. Monica hadn't returned a call in 2 days.
They all read the article. They know what I did, and they're not on my side.
The New York Times retraction never came. Instead, they ran a follow-up piece featuring Daniel's gold medal and, for the first time, a photograph of Joshua Harris. On a crisp October morning, Joshua Harris stepped into his office at Princeton University. A nameplate on the door reading Dr. Joshua Harris, Research Associate.
I am home. After everything, I am finally home.
That same week, Dr. Marcus Ellis opened his lecture with an unscripted mention. He called Joshua the finest pedagogical mind I've encountered in a decade.
We didn't rescue Joshua Harris. He confirmed what teaching is supposed to be.
The story of a boy, a teacher, and a deleted whiteboard became a quiet legend in the math world, proof that brilliance ignores aesthetics. And the woman who had judged a man by his skin color had lost everything she thought she owned, including the son who had once believed in her. Months later, on a brilliant autumn afternoon, Daniel Reeves stepped off the train at Princeton Junction.
Dr. Harris. Or do I have to call you Professor now?
Joshua is fine. Always Joshua. I hear you've been tearing through your MIT coursework.
They walked through the old campus, talking elliptic curves and modular forms, the student now nearly the teacher's equal. Joshua paused beneath a red maple and reached behind his ear. The familiar pencil, worn smooth, caught the light.
I used this on my own Olympiad paper. It solved the problem that brought us together. Now it's yours.
This pencil carried the discriminant that unlocked everything. He's giving me the start of it all.
They didn't say goodbye. Not really. Daniel tucked the pencil into his breast pocket, and they turned back toward the station. The train pulled away, and Daniel watched Joshua grow smaller on the platform, still waving in the pocket over his heart. The pencil was warm, a quiet reminder that the best math is always taught by someone who sees you. In Daniel's MIT dorm room, a gold medal rested on the desk next to a small framed photograph. The photo showed Joshua's calm hand on Daniel's shoulder, a pencil tucked behind his ear. "You earned this, Daniel. Never let anyone tell you you don't belong." Daniel opened his desk drawer. The worn pencil Joshua had given him lay beside a stack of notes. The voice memo faded to silence, but the message hung in the air like a proven theorem. Elliptic curves, voice memos, a deleted whiteboard. They had built a bridge no text message could break. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. Tonight, he would start a new proof. One he chose, and 100 miles away. A light in a Princeton office was still on. The pencil slot behind Joshua's ear was empty, but the math they'd shared was now alive in a new generation. Fade to black. Two names, once separated by a mansion door, now written into the same equation.